Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin the question and answer session, I just wanted to, while everybody is coming together and they're thinking about the questions,
Actually, can we invite the ladies here please?
just wanted to,
If you guys can move up front so that we can invite the ladies here too. Yeah, ladies can come.
only the ladies who are wearing hijab. If they're not wearing hijab, I do not want to see them.
Actually, if they are wearing the hijab.
Without hijab, I wish not to see them.
Tell them to stay on the other side.
That's fine.
No, the ones without hijab.
Yes, the one. So, just to begin the question and answer session, I just want to give a brief introduction about questioning and answering. There was only one person who ever existed in this universe after the Prophet who had the claim that you can ask me anything and I will let you know. And I know the ways of the heavens better than I know the ways of this world. And that entity, that being, was Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
After that, anyone who is going to claim that you can ask me anything and I will answer and I know the answer, is actually either lying or is projecting themselves to be someone that as same level as the door of knowledge. Okay, so now when you ask the question, your question might be one sentence, and don't expect the answer to be one sentence as well. Okay, you guys have seen the keys, right? I always give this example. This building, I don't know how big it is, maybe, and I'm just taking a guess, you can correct me, maybe around 5,000, 6,000 square feet, up and down. But the key that opens this is very small, right? But that small key can open a 5,000 square foot building, right? So when you ask a question, your question might be very small, but be prepared of the thing that is going to open, okay? It might open up a huge answer that requires a lot of preliminaries and so forth. The other thing about questions is that some of the questions are asked because the person is truly wanting to know, okay? Because they are thirsty, they don't know, and they truly want to know, okay? That type of question is the best question, okay? If you truly are thirsty about that knowledge and you want to know, you should ask. Definitely you should ask. But then there is another type of question where you already know the answer, but you're just questioning it again so that the answer can be what you want to hear. जो दिल को पसंद आए ना सवाल जो उर्दू में, like, you know, when I sit down with the youth, there are top 5 or 10 questions that every sitting I will be asked, right? Standard हो जाते हैं सवाल हमारे. तो उसकी वजह ये होती है कि, you know, the youths keep on asking the question, is music allowed, is music allowed, is music allowed? The reason why they keep on asking and they ask everybody is because they want to listen to music. They just want that answer that somebody can tell them that yes, music is allowed and you can listen to it. Okay? That type of question has no value. It's just waste of time, and, you know, there's no ibadah, there's no deen, there's no worship, nothing like that. Another type of question is that you just want the other person to know. किसी दूसरे को सुनाने के लिए मौलाना से सवाल कर लेंगे ताकि, क्योंकि पता है कि वो मजमे में बैठा है और हम बताते नहीं उसको और वो समझता नहीं है, तो they will ask that question so that the Maulana can say and the other person can hear. Okay? That type of questioning as well will not bring anything out of it. Alright? It is just going to be another part of the same folder as waste of time, no worship, no religion, no nothing, no sawab. There is another type of question which is to test the Maulana. Right? Now, that question as well is really not going to be too much of a benefit, because I'm already telling you that I don't know anything. Okay, so you don't have to test me. If I said I know something, then you can test me. Right? एक शागिर्द आके कह दे पहले उस्ताद को कि जी मुझे कुछ नहीं पता, तो उसे सवाल करना, इम्तिहान लेना कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है. वो ऑलरेडी कह रहा है मुझे कुछ नहीं पता. ठीक है, तो उसको टेस्ट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है आपको. जहाँ तक fiqh questions and the ones that deals with Islamic laws, we have become a society which is confused. We have become a nation which is completely doesn't know what are the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, although we have an institution called ijtihad. We have the institution of taqleed. A nation who has the institution of taqleed, for them to be confused in this day and time, it is a sad state that we are in. Where the people are not confused about which car to buy when they take it to the mechanic says that you need this and this repair. They're not confused about that. They're not confused in going to the doctor and the doctor prescribing that your limbs have to be cut. They're not confused about that. But when it comes to the institution of ijtihad, we are a confused nation. We don't know what is the law. The reason why we don't know what is the law is because we are not associated with this institution. If we get associated and we understand what this institution is, we will never be confused. So for the fiqh questions, you can ask. I mean, I'm not saying that you should not ask, but let me tell you how easy it is. Right? You don't need to call a Maulana from Canada and pay for his ticket and so forth and come in front of you and then having to sit down in front of everybody and ask the questions. You can go to your smartphone, which you all have. If you have a Android base, you can go in the Play Store and you can type in the search. If you are Mustahid is Imam Khamna, you just type his name, his Risala will come, and then just click install and you will have that app. And then anytime you want to use it for reference, you have a question, you can just do the reference. If you have an iPhone, you have to go to the App Store. If your Mirza is Ayatollah Sistani, he also has an app. You can go on the internet, sistani.org. All the questions are there that people have asked. All the Risala is there, and you can find out. If you ask Maulanas about fiqh questions, now it is quite possible that, me as a person, I have the responsibility to know the fatwas of my Mirza. And that's all I have as a responsibility. I don't have the responsibility of knowing the fatwas of every single Mirza that has come. Is alive or gone. Right? As a mujtahid, as a Mirza, it is their responsibility where they go through the source which is called ijma, and they have all of the fatwas of all of the mujtahideens that have existed. They use that as a reference point for them to do the research to come up with the law. As a Hujjatul Islam al Muslimin or Fiqhatul Islam or whatever titles you're going to give to a Maulana, Allama, Hazrat, Allama, Maulana, Agha, Mudazzillahul Ali, whatever you're going to say to a person, if they're not a Mirza, it is not their responsibility to know the fatwa of all of the Maraja'in. Okay? It is based on individual responsibility because you are in the taqleed of a Mirza. So what can be useful to have a discussion is to have the discussion of the institution of taqleed. What are the requirements of a muqallid? What are the responsibilities of a muqallid? It is important that we discuss that. We've become people who are going away from taqleed. Instead of coming close to it, we're going away from it. And the harm is only for us, it's for our kids. No one is going to benefit out of that. होते ना कि लोग कहते हैं जी मेरे ख्याल में तो ऐसा होना चाहिए, मैं तो ये समझता हूँ. आपको किसने डिग्री दी है कि आप ये समझते हैं? आप किसी डॉक्टर के पास जाकर के मैं तो ये समझता हूँ कि जी मेरे तो जो है वो जिथ्रोमाइसिन आप प्रिस्क्राइब करें. आप कभी कहते हैं उसको जाकर? अगर कहते भी हैं तो डॉक्टर कहता है भाई अगर आप खुद डॉक्टर हैं तो फिर दवाई ले लें. आपको मेरे से पूछने की क्या जरूरत है? What is the need? Why do you have to come to me? तो दीन जो है वो ख्याल का दीन नहीं है हमारा. दीन हमारा ख्याल का दीन नहीं है. ख्याल के अफसाने के दीन बहुत सारे हैं, लेकिन वो इस्लाम नहीं है। हमारे दीन में क़यास नहीं है। You know what qiyas is? Derivation. For example, a Sunni alim was asked, he said that a person asked him, he said that, why is it that we cannot eat the meat of a pig? He said, because in the time of the Prophet, they used to go for battles, and the meat of the pig makes you thirsty. So therefore, it was prohibited that you don't eat the meat of the pig, because the water was not readily available and so forth. So the person replied, he said, now you have water everywhere. You have water everywhere, so now why should somebody not eat the meat of a pig? He had no answer. Because that was based on derivative. Qiyas किया था उन्होंने. Qiyas हमारे दीन में नहीं है, हमारे मज़हब में qiyas नहीं है. Our religion has ijtihad. Okay? And what that is, and if you don't know, it is the responsibility of every individual who is present here, if they are not a marja, that it is their responsibility to go and find out what ijtihad is, what taqleed is, what is that institution. Okay? Alright? So this was just the introduction for the beginning of the question and answer session. If you're going to start a loud salawat, then somebody can bring me water, that'd be great. So we had some questions previously. I'll go through that, and then you can ask. There was this question that in one of your online lectures you said one can draw a picture of their soul, and you mentioned, like, for example, anger, dog, etc. Can you please repeat that so I and the other people can note it down? I believe that really helps. Okay, so I think we mentioned that in the Jummah khutbah when, I don't know if you were here. Human being has one existence. We have one existence. But we are present in many different levels of existence. Okay? The lowest level of our existence is this body. The highest level of our existence is the soul. In between, we have many different levels of existence where we exist. We say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So we understand that all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the Lord and the provider and the taking care of the universes. It's plural. Alameen is plural. Okay. This level of existence is the lowest level, and I can prove that to you that this is not you. Okay? This is something you own. Okay? I can prove that to you. Okay. This is the proof. What is this? Question and answer means I cannot ask you a question? No, I can. What is this? Glasses. Whose glasses are these? Maulana's. Okay. So these are my glasses. Is this me? No. This is something I own. True? Okay. What is this? Whose hand is it? It's my hand. Which means this is not me. Which means this is something I own. Because I said my hand, and you said this is your hand. Right? What is outside? There are cars. Whose cars are they? One of yours, right? That car is not you. It's a possession that you own. So this body of mine is mine. I own it. But that doesn't mean this is me. In front of you that I am, you say, where is Maulana? You say, you'll point it out, this is Maulana. This is not Maulana. This is just my body. This is just my hand, my eyes, my nose. Who I am is different than what I own. Above this level of existence, we have another existence which is called Jism Misali, or the existence of kind of barzakh, where It's not completely out of this world and it's not completely of the other world. It's in between, purgatory, that's what we also call it. Okay? Ayatollah Bahjat, he was able to see your second level, which is the jism barzakhi or jism misali that you have. And my reference is to that jism. When you look at me, what do you see is just the eyes and nose and so forth, right? But my level, little bit above that, is different. And that level is based on my habits. When he used to look at people, what he would see is what they have made themselves to be. So if he was able to look at you and look at you for a little while, people would get really happy. You know, Agha Baja looked at me. They'd be like coming and telling everybody, you know, happy, oh, Agha Baja looked at me and he looked at me for a little while. And he had a smile on his face. The reason was that he was able to see your jism barzakhi, which is based on your habits. So the people who have, for example, habits of anger, their jism misali shape is of a dog. If they have greed, their jism misali shape is that of an ant. If they like to steal, their jism misali is in the shape of a mouse. If they like to hurt other individuals, their jism misali shape is like of a snake. So now if you have all of the above, then what kind of creation are you? A mutation, right? Tongue of a snake, face of a dog, body of an ant, right? Nose of a mouse, right? So that level of your existence, which you cannot see, which you also own because of your own actions, that's jism misali, and that's how what I was mentioning here as a reference is that you can see your jism misali by looking at what your habits are. Okay? On the day of judgment, all of these curtains are going to be lifted. So if I have made myself to be in the shape of any of those animals that are distinctive on that instinct, this is how I'm going to look at that level of existence. Okay? So I think that was that. If you can read aloud salawat. So that is done. If the Maulana recites a dua in namaz and you do not know it, can you recite a dua that you know? That's fine. That was an easy one. Right? You can. Okay. I can make it more complex, but I won't. It would be mustahab, it would be recommended that you follow the dua that the Maulana is doing, but if you do not know, you can recite any dua. And the thing about it is that in fiqh, I was telling this one to one of our brothers outside, in fiqh you have something which is wajib, you have something which is recommended, which is mustahab, you have something which is prohibited, which is haram, you have something which is makruh, which means that it is better you don't do it, but if you do it, there is no punishment. And then there is something which is mubah. Like you want to do it, you can do it. You can pick the color of the shirt, any shirt that you want to wear. Okay? What we have done as a nation, we have mixed these together. So now maybe the mustahab has become wajib and the wajib has become makruh and then the mubah has become mustahab, and you know, we mixed all of that. When you are doing wudu, to put to gargle and to put water in your nose is mustahab. If somebody comes and downstairs, you know, when I go and do wudu, everybody becomes very careful. मेरा वज़ू पता नहीं मौलाना कोई उसमें से चीज़ ना निकाल दे. But for example, if you see somebody doing wudu and they have not gargled or they did not put water in their nose, you go and object to them and say, तुम्हारा वज़ू सही नहीं है, your wuzu is not good, is not valid. That's not true. They have let go of something which is recommended. As long as they don't let go of something which will invalidate their wudu, then their wudu is fine. लेकिन हमें ऐसे बताया नहीं गया. माँ ने कैसे वजू किया, माँ ने बता दिया बेटा पहले आपने ये करना है, फिर उसके बाद कुल्ली करनी है, उसके बाद नाक में पानी डालना है, फिर आपने चेहरे को धोना और ये सब चीजें, और 3 दफा उठा के पानी फेंकना. अब 3 दफा किसी ने नहीं उठा के फेंका, 10 दफा फेंक दिया, आप कहेंगे जी तुम्हारा वजू खराब. ये बात जरा ज़हन में रखिएगा कि मकरू को मकरू रहने दें. Let makruh be makruh, don't make it wajib. Let wajib wajib, let mustahab mustahab. Let mubah mubah, And haram. आपको like just on that note as well, like आपने सुना होगा कि माँ कहती होती थी, दादी अम्मा, नानी अम्मा, grandparents used to say that don't vacuum at night. घर में रात को झाड़ू नहीं देना.
अभी भी valid है.
सही है? झाड़ू नहीं देना, क्या हो जाएगा? रिस्क कम हो जाएगा. Just imagine that if I go and tell a Christian that, in my religion, if I vacuum at night, my sustenance is going to be decreased, they're going to laugh at me. They're going to say, what kind of God is yours that you clean the house at night? Maybe you didn't have time and so forth, and that was the only time you had to clean it. And you cleaned it, and then your God lowered your sustenance so that your kids go hungry. No, don't put things that we have heard from our forefathers as something part of Islam unless it is. वरना उसको आप यही कह के, वो क्या उसे इंग्लिश में भी कहते हैं कि old lady tales, और क्या है वो? हाँ? Wife or grandmother.
And I have a question following the previous question about Qunut. When you're reciting a Qunut and we know that Qunut, can we recite it loudly in Jamaat?
In Jamaat is not a problem. Acha, are you allowed to play violent video games? As Call of Duty, specifically, very good question.
It came from the field. No, but that's a good question.
That's a very good question because Call of Duty is a violent game. When you shoot the individuals, the blood comes out and they fall off, and you can stab them with a knife. You have different choices to kill the person, right? You can stab them with a knife, you can use an automatic weapon, you can throw a grenade, you can have an automated machine that goes there and just blows up, right? You can do all of that. You have a choice. Violently, you want to cut the person's head off, you want to blow them up, you want to put bullets through them. You can choose to kill the person as you wish. The effects of a violent video game are not apparent right away. Okay? They're not apparent right away. The effects of it will come to you in your later life. The effects of it will come in your imagination. The effect would be such that a 12-year-old will take a gun and shoot a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old, or just go in the school and just kill whoever comes in front of them. The effect of seeing violence, you do not see the effect of it right away, but the effect is done. Unfortunately, the games that our kids have nowadays, जैसा हमारे ज़माने में क्या था, हमारा खिलौना क्या होता था, वो लड्डू याद है आपको? It was like Beyblade, but Beyblade a little bit more ghetto. Like it was made of wood, and then we would take like a string and wrap it around and throw it and pull the string. That was basically Beyblading, right? But it wasn't called Beyblade at that time. That was okay, it gave us a little bit of refreshment and so forth. Our toys were not based in a system which is run by shaitan. Today, the toys that are there for our kids to play is in the system that shaitan has built, and it is the ownership of shaitan. Without knowing, our kids are becoming shaped and formed in that system. And when it comes to choices for our kids to play games, they don't have much choice. If they're not going to play the Call of Duty, what are they going to play? Tell me. Super Mario Brothers? Any game, you want to talk about racing games, you want to talk about Mario Brothers, you want to talk about Kirby, you want to talk about Sword of Zelda or whatever, like Assassin, you want to talk about any of the games that are out there in the market, Pokemon, for example. Even Pokemon, there are shooting and killing, and there is like attack, and there is defense, and there is shoot of water and fire and stones and all that. This is for the parents. If our kids are not going to play, if they are not going to have games, then how are they going to survive? What do you expect them to do? All day, tasbih pakde? You want them to have a tasbih in their hand, and then you want to have them reading Quran and reading the different tradition books of, Ayatollah Bahjat and Ayatollah Khushbakht, and you want them to like this. They're kids. They're going to play. It's necessary for them to play. So what you have as a choice as parents is to pick that game which is the least violent. If you were to come and say, no Xbox, no PlayStation, no Nintendo DS, no Nintendo, no nothing, then you should maybe go somewhere where the kids can have some toys that are not based on the system of shaitan. If you're going to stay here, you're going to raise your kids here, this is the problem you're going to run into. The solution to that, to the parents, is pick a game that is the least violent, that gives the kids a little bit of morals and values and ethics. But if you don't pick those type of games, the effects are there, and the effects are going to be showing in the long term. Okay? And this is a very thing which is close to my heart as well, and the hearts to the parents as well. They want you guys to be the best that you can. Their hands are quite tied. Do not tie their hands even more. Try to listen to them as much as possible. Try to sacrifice as much as possible. Because they have it very tough living here. Okay? Both parents are working, they cannot give you time. The father comes from home, the mother is at work, she comes back, they only have a couple of hours to be with you, and then they're gone. Right? They go to sleep or something. So be a little bit more considerate. Try not to push them to buy you the most violent games out there. Try to see if you can buy a game, like a car racing game where you crash and so forth, okay. It's not too bad. Pokemon to a certain age, okay. But the thing that I can't understand is when a 35-year-old is sitting on the couch and playing Call of Duty. 40, 60. When you have grown through that age of games, and then being involved in games, that is really wrong. ठीक है? सलाम पे मोहम्मद. What is the importance of praying namaz on time? That in itself, the question has the answer. Everybody should know. Right? Okay, I give you a time. I'm going to give you a time. You're going to be in this center, okay? Okay? Telling you to be here at 4:33. Yeah, 4:34. I want you to be at 4:34. Right? Right. If you don't come at 4:34, what happens? Is this good? Yeah? You miss something, and the other thing is that I told you to be here at 4:34 and you did not listen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to meet you at 4:34, and then you show up at 5, you show up at 6. Is that good? It's not good. A Muslim used to come at work always late. Okay? Aisa hota hai. He used to come always late, and the employer said to him one day, he said, I don't understand how you can be late. I said, what do you mean? I'm an employee. He said, no, but you're a Muslim. What I know of your religion, that in your religion, time is so important that if you pray 1 minute after the time has gone for namaz, your namaz is invalid. And if you read 1 minute before the time of namaz, your namaz is valid. You should never be late. Right? So praying on time is very important in your lifestyle. If you can come to that point where whenever the azan goes, you can pray, it's the best that you can do. Okay? But if it is that it's going to be late, okay, late, if you have an excuse, you have a valid excuse, whatever it happens to be, okay, understandable, but don't delay your prayer intentionally. If you delay your prayers intentionally, on the day of judgment, Imam Jafar Sadiq is not going to do shafaat of yours. There will be no intercession. Just know that. Intentionally, अगर कोई नमाज की तखफीफ करता है, उसको कम समझता है, तो छठे इमाम की शफात में उसे मिलेंगे. If a Muslim is in an important place, airport, work, and there is background music, are they allowed to hear it? Background is okay, it's not a problem. But when it is background and you hear it and you like it, there is a problem. You're in the elevator, the music is playing, it's like, in your heart, you say, okay, I didn't put this on, right? I'm in the elevator, I didn't put the music on. But you're listening to it and then you start on the beat of that music and start enjoying it, then there is a problem. Okay? You know the music is haram, right? You guys should know that, right? Music is haram. The person who's listening to music, they're putting an iron rod which has been made to become red, and they're putting it in their ears. You know the headphones you guys have? I had some in my pocket, but I don't have it now. You know the headphones you put in your ears? Just imagine those are iron rods that have been made hot, that they become red, and you're putting it in your ears if you're listening to music. हमारे अब ये ज़रा बड़ों को मैं बता दूं, आपके लिए भी मौसीकी हराम है. ये नहीं है, it's not that it's only for the kids, for the adults as well. Unfortunately, our forefathers, they grew up with the Hindus. And in the culture of Hindus, music is part of their culture and religion. And they got so used to it, then they transferred it into their next generations. And now we have come to the point where music seems to have become part of us when it is not. Okay? Music is not part of us. One thing they say is that the music is the food for the soul. It's not. Okay? Soul food. It's not food for the soul. It might be food for your body. It might be. Plants, they grow really good listening to classical music. The chicken, they give good eggs if they listen to like classical music. They've done research like that there are certain type of music and the beat and the rhythm that it is really good for plants and for animals. But you're not a plant, neither an animal. Yeah.
What about the nasheeds that we make with Yusuf Islam or Cassidy?
Right, so as far as the nasheeds are concerned, some of them are really borderline music, but in the libas of Islam it has been placed. Some of them are very much close. Some of our nohas, some of the nohas, they are actually made on the tarz. Musiqi के गाने जो मशहूर हो जाते थे, उन्हीं तर्ज के ऊपर जो है वो नोहे लिखे जाते थे.
जिनमें म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स का इस्तेमाल किया गया है.
हाँ, अगर वो नशीद के हवाले से है और वो एक इस्लामी ममलकत के ब्रॉडकास्ट सिस्टम से जो है वो जा चुकी है और उसके अंदर फिर जो है वो उस नशीद के अंदर प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. लेकिन अगर आप नशीद ले रहे हैं, if you have a nasheed, if you have something that is reminding you of a song, or they are giving you that type of beat where you are following the beat and it is making you excited in that particular manner, then there is going to be an issue. So जो criteria ना वो आप रखें, ठीक है? criteria वो रखें कि अगर आप एक किसी चीज़ को सुन रहे हैं और सुनने से आपका जहन जो है वो उस तरफ जा रहा है जहाँ पे नहीं जाना चाहिए, आप खुदा से दूर हो रहे हैं, आप एक गफलत की हालत में आ रहे हैं, तो वो खा वो नोहा हो या नशीद हो, उसको छोड़ दें. ठीक है? अगर आपको वो नोहा सुन के जो है वो बजाय इमाम हुसैन की याद आने की उस गाने की याद आ रही है जिसके तर्ज पे वो बना था, उस नोहे को छोड़ दें. वो नोहा आपको कोई फायदा नहीं देगा.
Is there any difference between music and band? All countries in their national anthem they have a band.
Yeah, band and music is quite different. At the time of war, you can have, you can have drums that will make the soldiers that are there to become more motivated and have a certain level of excitement go up in them so that they can fight. In those cases, it's not an issue. But reference to, the hip hop, the Jay-Z's and the 50 Cent and all the pop music that our kids are into. And the funny thing is that they want to be like them. They listen to those artists and they want to be like them. They make their haircuts that way, they dress up that way. They think that they're cool because they look like Britney. By the way, Britney is gone, washed out, so if you want to look like her, it's not the right thing. In the culture, she's gone. She did not submit to Shaitan the way that Shaitan wanted, so she's gone. So did Whitney Houston also. So, this question I don't understand. I could try to understand, but I don't. So. एक सलावत पढ़ दो Although this question seems like the creation of this universe, I think they're asking whether Allah created the universe in 6 days or 7 days or when it was created. But we won't, it'll be too long to answer, so we won't. What time does Isha Namaz become Qaza? Isha Namaz about 11 and a half hours after the thing about midnight is that you have to calculate midnight, okay? So in different places, midnight is going to be different, all right? If you have doubt whether the namaz has become qaza or not, you can just recite it with the intention of ada, with the raja, with hope that if the time has not passed, and you can do that before Fajr, till before Fajr you can read it, okay? If a person wakes up close to Fajr, is it still okay to eat something as sehri? Okay, so this is a good question. The Fajr time right now is 4:34, right? Are you convinced? Right? Are you convinced? You have no doubt?
There are different calculation methods.
Right, but I'm saying, are you convinced it's 4:34?
Yes.
If you are convinced and you are mutmain that it is 4:34, then for you, until what you can eat is 4:34. Before 4:30, 4:33. Okay? But if you're not convinced that Fajr is at 4:34, you have doubt, and this goes for each and individual one of you. अगर आपको इत्मीनान नहीं है कि फजर की नमाज जो है, फजर की जो अजान है वो 4:34 पे है, तो फिर आप ये करें कि आप इमसाक करें, ठीक है? Which that means is that 10 to 17 minutes before the azan is said, you don't eat anything. तो ये जो फजर का टाइम है, ये एक वाजिब ऐनी है. It is something that is required by each individual to find out what is the time of Fajr. If you're convinced, that's fine, but if you're not convinced, then you should not eat something. इमसाक करें फिर आप 10 से 17 मिनट के लिए, ठीक है? ये आपके सेंटर की जिम्मेदारी नहीं है कि वो आपको फजर की नमाज का टाइम बताएं. Are you with me? It is not the responsibility of the center to print out a calendar and to tell you what is the namaz time for Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. It is your own individual duty, and whatever it is that you feel, right, it is something that you need to go out and find out. Okay? But if you are mutmain, like for example the app that I have, I'm quite content on it, I don't have any doubt about it, that's fine, this is the time for me. ठीक है? लेकिन अब ये थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है, इसको ज़रा सोचिएगा कि आपने कितने रोज़े रखे हैं, कितनी नमाजें पढ़ी हैं, जबकि किसी और ने आपको टाइम बताया था, when it was your own responsibility. Alright? साथ है? शक में नहीं पढ़ना, इट्स नॉट शक में नहीं पढ़ना, आपकी नमाजें ठीक हैं, कोई मसला नहीं है, लेकिन आज के बाद अगर आप चाहें तो खुद से रिसर्च करें कि फाइंड आउट दैट व्हेन इज द ज़ोहर टाइम, व्हेन इज द फजर टाइम. And if you are content, if you are mutmain that the calendar that has been published by the center, it is the right time, that's fine too. But do not take that as a responsibility on the shoulders of the center. It is a responsibility which is your own. If you are a Muslim, can you be on a sport team? Not a problem. As long as the sport that you are playing, by playing that sport, that you are not breaking any laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are, then you cannot play that sport. Okay? Could there be a sport where you can break the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yeah? Okay. For example, swimming for our sisters, gymnastic for our sister.
Swimming at Ramadan.
Swimming in my Ramadan, that's true. What about basketball? Basketball is pretty halal, no? Yes? What if you have to play basketball when it is, for example, in my Ramadan? Can you play basketball in my Ramadan? You can, no worries. But what if you are going to play basketball and you're going to get to yourself to that particular level of exhaustion, that exhaustion is going to make you get your stomach upset and you're, maazallah, throwing up and so forth, and then you will not be able to fast the next day, then what? That basketball became the reason for you to become like that, right? So that basketball is not going to be okay, because it's making you let go of a responsibility, Allah, which is of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So sports is not a problem. You can play any sport as long as the sport does not break the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as long as that sport is not done like a crazy person. Have you ever seen a crazy person play basketball? Yeah? You know what a crazy person playing basketball is? A crazy person playing basketball is for 6 hours. Is a crazy person. सुबह से लेके रात तक जो है, all day is playing basketball. This is a crazy person playing basketball. In its modernity, what is it good for you? That's fine. It's not a problem. Music का समझ में आ गई ना बार बार तुम.
But if a student has to play a game, and he's in a team,
Yeah.
and that team plays in Ramadan, then
If the team plays in my Ramadan and the student can handle that sort of exertion and will not become to the point that becoming sick where they have to let go of the fasts, then it's not a problem playing in it. But if you get into that condition where the exhaustion is such that you cannot fast the next day, then you should not play.
How about the other sport?
Yeah, that's not a sport though, unless you're
For example, go to other city.
to play for basketball. If you have something, okay, if you are going out of the city and you're becoming a traveler for the sake of playing basketball, and playing basketball is not haram, right? Playing basketball is not haram. You have to go out of the city to do that, and it is something which is kind of part of your commitment because you are part of that basketball team, then there is no issue. But you have to do the qada of that in the later year. So you have to still fast. There's no kafara for it, but you still have to fast. If you continue to do something makruh intentionally, do you get guna like you are doing something haram? You still don't get guna, but it just gets you a little bit closer to guna. If you continue doing something makruh, it gets you a little bit closer to doing guna, but you still don't get punished. I can do makruh all my life, I will not be punished for it. But if I'm doing something makruh all my life, I'm getting closer to doing something which is haram. Okay? So it's better to let go of something which is makruh, but it is not wajib, and if you don't feel that you have the strength to be able to let go of that makruh, then don't take more burden on yourself than you can handle. Okay? For example, some people they go so much in makruh. अब क्या है कि for example, what would be classified as makruh? For example, becoming a kasab. What is kasab? Butcher. Butcher is makruh. Being a butcher is makruh. Okay? So if you are a butcher all your life, there is karahat in it. Okay? But if in the community there is no butcher that can give you halal meat, then it is wajib kafai on the whole community to have one person become a butcher. Right? So a lot of the makruh as well, depending, you have to, that's why you have ijtihad, that's why you have marza, where you can go and ask them and become really clear about it. Another thing which is makruh, I'll tell you, and then we'll move forward. Employment is makruh. Being an employee of someone is makruh. साथ है? नौकरी करना कराहत है उसमें, हराम नहीं है भाई, ठीक है? हराम नहीं है, नौकरी करना मकरूह है, तिजारत करना मुस्तहब है. To do business, it is recommended. Right? So if you have two choices, you want to do naukri or you want to do tijarat. Naukri is makruh, tijarat is mustahab. If you do not have a choice and you have to do naukri, you have to be an employee, okay, you do it. But keep that in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want you to have that state of mind of an employee to an employer, where you start considering that person as your master. Okay? He wants you to have that state of mind where I am your master, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your master. And when you do business, you know that no one else is writing the paycheck but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you are doing in naukri mein, paycheck लिखने वाला कई दफ़ा हमारा खुदा बन जाता है, जिसकी वजह से हम दीन को बेच देते हैं, जानों को ख़राब कर देते हैं, बच्चों की तरबियत को भूल जाते हैं, उनको वो चीज़ें नहीं देते जिसकी वजह से उनको अपने फ्यूचर में जो है वो मदद मिलेगी. ये मसला हमारे साथ हो जाता है. एक सलावत पढ़ेंगे मोहम्मद Are you allowed to watch music? Are you allowed to watch music so it is muted? What did I say? It's always about music. It's always the youths wanting to know, and it's just very sad. I want to cry right now, but I can't.
But it's muted though.
Yeah, it's muted though, right? You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said one time to a nation that do not fish on Saturday. Okay, it's haram for you to fish on Saturday. You know what these guys did? On every other weekday, there will be no fish. But on Saturday, the fish is jumping out of the water like crazy. Right? They're jumping, laughing, teasing them. And they're looking, it's like, okay, all weekday we have had no fish, and today the fish is laughing. What should we do? Allah Miya said, Allah Miya ne kaha hai ki Saturday ko nahi pakad sakte machli. So what they did was they dug a canal from the ocean and they made a pond. So what happened was on Saturday when the fish would come, they would go through that canal and come into that pond, and they will not fish on Saturday, and then Sunday they'll go and grab those fish. When that happened, the community was divided into three groups. One group said, what you are doing is wrong. So we're not doing anything wrong. We're not fishing on Saturday. One group said, you're doing something wrong. The other group said, you know, let them do. Why you have to be so fundamentalist? Why you have to be such a hardliner? You know, Just be moderate. Why you have to like push? They're not doing anything wrong. The community was divided into 3 groups. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought the punishment. And He brought the punishment on all 2 groups other than the ones who used to say don't do it. Us finding the loophole and trying to think that we are going to still be okay is not okay. You will still have the same punishment as someone who is committing the wrong. So, can you watch dancing? No. And if somebody is watching dancing or even dancing themselves, right? Like we sometimes think that among the women, if the women are dancing for each other is okay. You cannot dance for another woman either. Okay? It's like, okay, it's just us men, so let's all just dance for each other. It's not okay.
तो इंडिया पाकिस्तान में शादी के मरासिम में जो नाच गाना होता है इसके बारे में क्या है?
हराम है।
मुख्तलिफ रस्मात में गाया जाता है।
हराम है। हमारी शादी में सिर्फ जो इस्लाम होता है वो मौलाना को बुला के निकाह पढ़वा लेना होता है। बाकी सब हराम काम हो रहे होते हैं, बाकी सब गैर इस्लामी काम हो रहे होते हैं। They'll get a Maulana to come and recite the nikah. After the nikah is done, then Alhamdulillah, the music is playing. If it's Shia, they will maybe read Hadith Qissa in the beginning, and then after reading Hadith Qissa, they will have Maulana come and recite the nikah for the individuals, and after the Maulana has recited the nikah, they will have the dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the love of Bibi Fatima, Imam Ali and Bibi Khadija and Rasulullah and so forth, and then have them a good progeny that are going to be the slaves and the sons of the 12th Imam. And then after that dua is finished, the music is playing, everybody is dancing, and all that wedding has nothing to do with Islam. और उसके अलावा मिक्स गैदरिंग क्या है, यानी वो ख़वातीन ने जो है वो मेकअप किया हुआ है और सुर्खी पाउडर सारा कुछ तजम्मुल घर में कभी नहीं करेंगे। घर में अपने हस्बैंड के लिए वही जो पुराने कपड़े 20 साल पुराने वो पहन के घर में होंगे। जब शादी में जाएंगी तो ऐसे ऐसे कपड़े, जी मुझे ये ला के दो, 2-3 हज़ार के जोड़े किसके लिए पहन रहे हैं? ताकि दूसरी देखे और कहे कि देखो भाई इसका मियाँ कितने पैसे कमाता है। तो जम्मुल अगर बीवी करे अपने हस्बैंड के लिए करे, मुस्तहब है। अपने हस्बैंड के लिए वो अपने आप को जीनत दे, मुस्तहब है। घर से बाहर निकल के किसी और के लिए जीनत देना हराम है। पाउडर सुर्खी लगा के गोटे वाले कपड़े पहन के पता भी नहीं लगता कि दुल्हन कौन है इनमें से। मुश्किल हो जाती है। ये इस्लाम नहीं है। दिस इज नॉट इस्लाम। मिक्स गैदरिंग के अंदर जाना भी हराम है। That's a good question. Is it haram to smoke in Islam? Now you're asking the wrong person, but I will still answer it for you. The ones who have been smoking previously, they are allowed to smoke. The ones who are starting now, it is haram for them. Okay? Now, the thing about it is that even this actually kind of leads into a very good thing right now, which has become a fad कहते हैं, क्या उसे कहते हैं? It's a craze right now about hookahs. The 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds are going and smoking hookahs, and their parents are okay with it too. Right? Hookah is the same thing. You have tobacco. If you don't have tobacco, whatever that they're burning, you become addicted to it. It has a lot of harmful effects where kids have died smoking hookah. Okay? So for the youngsters who are thinking about smoking, you're not allowed to smoke. For the old पुराने पापी जो हैं वो
Father Day.
I didn't get the last part.
वो पाप करते हैं यही सुनना चाह रहे हैं Is sleeping too much haram? In my Ramadan, sleeping too much is not haram. It's actually worship. If you sleep in my Ramadan, it is worship. Breathing is worship, right? But when does it become worship? ये भी बात आपको बता दें. You know how we say that माह रमज़ान में सोना इबादत है. हाँ, सोना इबादत है, लेकिन अगर वो सोना आपको इबादतों से दूर कर रहा है तो वो सोना इबादत नहीं है. If that sleeping is making you not perform those worships that you should perform in Mah Ramadan, or because of sleeping too much, your Fajr namaz is getting qada, your Zohrain is getting qada, or your Maghrib or Isha is getting delayed, then that sleeping too much in Mah Ramadan is not going to be considered a worship. In the regular days, if you are sleeping, let's say 7 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, you cannot come to the conclusion that it is haram. You can sleep as long as you want. But just remember that the more you will sleep, the more your heart is going to be hardened, and the less worship of Allah you will do, and the less you will feel connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Plus, you're wasting your life. Okay, I am 40. ठीक है? With me or no? ज़्यादा तो नहीं हो गया आपके लिए? I am 40 years old. An average person sleeps between 8 to 10 hours a night. So how many years have I slept in my 40 years of life?
1/3.
1/3 is how many years? 1/3 of 40? Come on.
13 years.
13 years I've been sleeping. I tell you right now, okay, everybody's ready? I will tell you a way to increase your life. Everybody is crazy about that, right? Everybody is wanting to prolong their life, and they want to live a healthy life, and they want to have more of their life. Well, okay, very easy to increase your life. Out of those 13 years, sleep less. Your life would increase. खुद बहुत बढ़ जाएगी ना? अगर 13 सालों के बजाय मैं 10 साल सोऊं या 8 साल सोऊं या 9 साल सोऊं तो मेरी तो जिंदगी बढ़ गई. Sleeping between 3 to 6 hours is okay. Imam Khomeini, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his soul, because we are in debt to him. He used to sleep about 3 hours and 45 minutes. If he slept like we do, 8 to 10 hours or 12 hours, do you think he would have been able to accomplish what he did? No, right? Any great person that you are going to find in history or even alive today sleeps less. And that is why they are able to achieve a lot more than others. Salawat padhe Muhammad. Is adoption allowed in Islam? There is no problem. If you come to even today, nowadays, actually adoption is very much required by Muslims. Okay? I'm not saying that don't have your own kids, but we need to become people who are open to adoption, and I'll tell you why. When a Muslim dies and they don't have any family and they have kids, they go into the care of child services. I don't know what you call it here. Social services, okay? Now those social services, they will look for foster parents for these children, and they cannot find Muslim parents who are on that list. So guess what happens to those Muslim kids who are born in a Muslim family? They end up going to a Christian or a Jew or a Sikh or a Hindu family. And then they grow in that, and then they become a Hindu, Christian, Jew, or an atheist when they grow up. Because we don't have people who will do adoption. So even in a small community, have yourself listed as the foster parents, because I don't know here, but in Canada, the government even pays you for raising those kids. Okay? It's a very important thing that we are missing out in the West, and we are not aware of the fact that so many kids who have become orphaned, They are growing up in houses where sharab is a mamul, people are drinking, people are eating haram, and they are being raised that way. And on the day of judgment, we as a community, we all will be asked. That you were alive, you were part of that community, and the young people who were born in a Muslim family, they went to a Christian family or a Jew family or a Hindu family when these were orphans of a Muslim, and you had right. They had right over you. The amount of times that Allah SWT has written in the Quran about orphans, and the amount of time that Rasul has narrated the importance of orphans and taking care of them, Imam Ali says that we were thinking that the orphans will end up getting something from our inheritance. And we have left our orphans. We've left them here and we've left them back home. They're all our responsibilities. Just because they are your kids doesn't mean that they're not my responsibility. They're my responsibility as well. Start thinking like that. Adoption जो है वो आप सब list में जाएं और अपने आप को tell the social services that you are there and you will take the orphans. Even if it's non-Muslim, take them. If there is no Muslim orphans there, take the non-Muslims. It's not a problem. Mahram and non-mahram issues, there are ways that you can do that. So वो उसके लिए आप सीखा पढ़ लें महरमियत का, वो आपका हो जाएगा मसला, वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Just because of that fact, okay. That question is, what should we do to prepare for the Imam? I will just tell you the best thing to do, okay? And if every one of us start doing that, Imam will come. Okay? The Imam of the time said that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you the ability to submit to His will, and may He grant you the ability to pay the rights of each other that are in your necks. If you were to do that, there will not be any delay between our meeting and your meeting. We as a community are not giving the rights of each other. We are backbiting, we are tale-telling, we are insulting, we are allegating people of the things that they have not done. We are doing all of that, and this is one of the main reasons why we are not seeing the Imam of our time. The best preparation you can do is to first look at your own self, get rid of that illness from inside, and then help each other to get rid of that illness. हमारे दरमियान में अमर बिल मारूफ और मुनकर ख़त्म हो गया. हम देख रहे हैं बहनों ने जहाँ पहना नहीं हुआ, सेंटर में हम आते हैं, देखते हैं कि जहाँ पहना नहीं हुआ, लेकिन कोई कहता नहीं है उनसे कि आप भी जहाँ पहने. क्यों नहीं कहते? क्योंकि वो जी डर है कि वो आगे से कुछ हमें ना कह दें. Amar bil Ma'ruf and Munkar is a responsibility, it is an obligation on every single man or woman who has become baligh, just as a responsibility you have to pray namaz. You cannot let go of that responsibility. We need to do that. We need to help each other. We need to bring everybody closer so that, and अच्छा unity के हवाले से बात अगर मैं कर दूँ, unity is required in this day and time. But it is not required just to compromise on your principles and then have everybody united. This unity will not help you in any way. Unity has to be on principles. Unity without principles is of no use. आपके एग्जाम्पल दें, आप अगर 10-15 बोतलें यहाँ पे, bring about 30 bottles, I don't know how many we are, let's say we bring 60 bottles, and we all put them like this in this room. And we say that everybody is united. Is everybody united? No. Just because these two bottles are sitting next to each other, that is not unity. What would be unity is that if you were to take one big vessel, a big huge tank, and take all of the water that is there and pour it in that big huge vessel, that there are no barriers, that they're all one. Still, if there are 1,000 bottles like that, you will say there are 1,000 bottles there. not one unit. Just because of the fact that you have all of these people come together, that's not unity. Unity would have been shown on Friday when we had the rally for Quds, if you were united. If you were united, you all would have been over there, and you would have shown your strength. We're still not united. Okay? So the best thing you can do, I'll tell you one tradition and then the next 3 or 4 questions. You've heard these traditions before, so I'm just paraphrasing or putting the meaning. A person comes to Imam and says, Imam, you should bring out the revolution. This has happened to the 6th Imam, this has happened to Imam Zainal Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, this has happened to Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam, this has happened in the life of almost every Imam. So I go, we have Shias, we have 100,000, 200,000 Shias and they're ready for you and you bring about the revolution. Take the right which is yours. Imam says, okay, you who have come from that town where we have 100, 200,000 Shias, can you tell me how many people you have that can go into the pocket of the individual and take whatever they want, they don't have to ask, and the other individual does not get upset? We don't have anybody. Said, if you don't have anybody, how can I take my right? If you are not unit, as one like this, how can I take my right? I narrated that somewhere, the other person said 50% Maulana, we are ready for the Imam. 50% kya kehte? We do go into the pocket of the other. We take out whatever we want. But so 50% we are ready, but the 50% about the other person not getting upset, that's another story. What is yours is mine, whatever is mine is not yours. The best thing you can do is give the rights of each other, do amar bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, make yourselves ready spiritually, purify yourself, love each other, be ready to give lives for each other. Be ready for that, because the time is coming, Imam will be here, and we would have to give each lives for each other to protect the life of the other. Have that strong of a bond among yourselves. Can you recite Allah Salawat? Did Prophet Adam ﷺ do a sin when he ate the apple from the tree? The prophets do not sin. They don't sin, but they ask for forgiveness. Okay? They don't sin, but they ask for forgiveness. Just like Imam Masumin, they have asked for forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just because of the fact that someone is asking for forgiveness does not mean that they have sinned. Is it possible? For example, I'm sitting in front of you and then you decide to put your legs like this. Okay? Is that a sin? No. Your legs are tired. You want to stretch them? Go ahead. Somebody comes, an elder comes and says, what are you doing? In front of the Maulana. You are stretching your legs. Go and ask for forgiveness from Maulana. They come to me and say, Maulana, I'm sorry I stretched my legs in front of you. I say, it's okay, it's no problem. But did that person commit a sin? No. But because of, let's say, the greatness or the honor of an individual, certain things which are not sins will be classified as sins. It is because of the greatness of that individual plus the relationship that you have with that individual. With me so far? If a man wants to ask you to, for example, if he asks you to bring me water, right? And you don't bring water, what happens? Is this a sin or not? It is a sin because Imam's itaat is wajib. Right? But Imam just said, can somebody bring me water? If you don't get up and get water, is that a sin? No. It would have been better that you go and get the water for the Imam. He has not specified to a certain person. It would have been better, but you let go. You let go of a better thing that you could have done. Okay? So the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did certain actions that were according to their level and according to the level of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, were like choosing something which was better, but they let go. And once that happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also punished them in a way as if they have committed a sin. Right? Hazrat Yunus, what did he do? Can you tell me what his sin was? That he was put into the belly of a fish for 100 years?
Disappointed or getting angry?
Yeah, so he just had a thought come in his mind that I've been telling these people to come on, get yourself together, and they're not getting themselves together, they're not listening to me. Maybe I should leave. If I come and I keep telling my sisters, please have hijab, don't listen to music, please don't fight with each other, please have love and care for each other, please do your namaz, please do your wajibat, please do your recommended, please respect your elders, and you guys don't listen, and I say, you know what, I'm going to leave. Do you think this is a sin? This is not a sin. But if I was at the level where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved me so much and I needed to show my love to Him in that manner that even if you do not change, and in that process I get even killed, this was my responsibility. And just because of the fact that Hazrat Yunus had that thought, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished him that way. It was not a sin, but it was something that was not expected from the level that Hazrat Yunus was and the level of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? The prophets do not sin, the Imams do not sin.
But in the case of Hazrat Adam, it was very specific to show.
Yeah, don't eat from that tree.
Otherwise, you will be among the
transgressors. But the transgression to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not necessarily mean that it's a sin. Everybody is a transgressor.
But that was forbidden.
Yeah, I mean, okay. First, let's say the transgression part. Then we say the prohibited part, right? Everybody is a transgressor because as it is the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be delivered, nobody can deliver it. The ones who were not the transgressors were the Masumeen alayhi salam, who did whatever was humanly possible to submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they did not transgress. But when you look at them, the way that they are saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Zalamtu nafsi, if I have oppressed my soul. That is in reference to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what they were required to do. Prohibition not necessarily always mean that if I tell you to, I prohibit you to do something, that it is going to mean that if you break that it is sin. ठीक है? मसलन रात को खड़े होके पानी पीना मकरूह है, कराहत है ना उसमें. If you drink water standing at night, it is makruh. Makruh means that it has karahat. Karahat means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's prohibited. Don't do it. I still do it. Does that mean that I've committed a sin? No. So as far as Hazrat Adam was concerned, our father and Hazrat Hawwa alayhi salam, their action, that particular actions that they committed in that garden, whichever it happened to be, in a time and place that had before the shara, the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Shariat was to be revealed as the system that is for humanity. What was done there was tarki awla, according to all of the scholarly discussions and with logic and everything else that has been said.
So anything forbidden, isn't there a shaitan element? Maybe
Which element?
Shaitanic element.
In that story, the shaitan came and said that, okay, can you do that? still not a sin.
What's the definition for sin? I mean,
Sin is that when it's defined in the law that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought down by the prophets. It is either something which is an obligation when a person lets go of it, or it is something which is, what is it? Prohibited. But prohibition in that sense that if you were to do that, I will, in that sense, if you were to do that, I will punish you because what you have done is prohibited. It is not a matter of makruh, it is not a matter of mubah, it is actually a matter of haram. I'm specifying it, and that law has been delivered to you by the prophets. Okay? So if you break that law, it is a sin. Also, there are different degrees of sins. Gunahan Kabira is over 60. Ayatollah Dasghaib Shirazi Rahmatullah has identified all of them, and Gunah Kabira is something which when a person commits, there is a guarantee specifically in Quran or Hadith that you will have punishment. Okay? So in that particular sense, the definition of sins is very vast. The sins that Imam Jafar Sadiq is asking for forgiveness is not sins, it's another category, and we are not being biased about this. What's the big deal if I say that Hazrat Adam committed sins? I'm not being biased about it, right? Although he's my dad, right? But just because he's my dad, Islam does not say that, okay, just because it's your dad and your dad has committed something wrong that you try to justify it. It's not that case. The case is that we have to understand what is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is law, what is shariat, why is shariat there, why is shariat for every time is. Some of the rules are there, some of the rules are not there. There are hukm sanawi, there is hukm ula, there is all of these things. Sins have different levels. Kufr has different levels, Iman has different levels, obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has different levels. So huge, massive discussion. Okay? If you just look at in the fact about prohibition, what is prohibited, so therefore this is 2 plus 2 and 4, so Hazrat Adam has some sin, we will not be able to get to the right direction. Okay? You are not guilty until proven you are innocent until you are proven guilty. Okay? So just because somebody is asking for forgiveness, somebody is saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please forgive me, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I'm going to throw you on this earth and this is your punishment, just by looking at that story you cannot come to the conclusion that Hazrat Adam sinned.
Like namaz is mustahab for all people, but it's wajib.
Yeah, namaz shab is mustahab for all people, but when your status goes up, then it becomes sayyiyatul abrar. Yani there are traditions that say that the sins of the good people are the hasanat of people like myself. And if that gets stuck in your mind that Hazrat Adam sinned, and after all what has been said and you do your research, you still are to the point that he sinned, then it is no less than a waswasa of shaitan who wants you to come to that conclusion that your father was a sinner, so therefore you are a sinner, or therefore prejudice was done, and therefore what I did was not wrong, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is biased, and therefore whatever you're going to do is actually, whatever the prophets have said is actually wrong, and you can never be contented or never have faith that what they have said is actually what the truth is, and you'll always be confused and you'll never have iman. And the road that he will get you on is you will come to the saying that, I'm an atheist. Well, a lot of our youths have come to that particular point. And a lot of the people, when you grew up with them, Pakistan में नहीं होता था वो सुर्खे और क्या वो कुछ लोग अपने आप को जो इल्हादी हो जाते थे. After Imam Hussain, where did the Zulfikar go? The Zulfikar is in the hands, or is the property of our 12th Imam. Is namaz shab necessary to do in Ramadan? It's not necessary to do in any months. It's not wajib, but it is highly recommended. And in the month of my Ramadan, it's even more recommended. Okay? And one thing I think this was a youth that wrote it. if you're still thinking about it, do it right now. I'm not saying that's necessary, but if you are a young person, start doing your namaz-e-shab now. Because what will happen is, when you get to be my age, it will become your habit. Doing worship out of habit is no good either, but not doing any worship without habit is also not good. Okay? So if you can become that way, it will be wonderful. And we need, we need a dua that is done by a youngster in namaz-e-shab. It has so much level as if Imam Ali praying and a regular person praying. Zameen Asman ka fark hota usme. So if any of my youths are reading namaz-e-shab, remember me, my name is Hasan Mujtaba Rizvi, or I can tell you my full name is Sayyid Hasan Mujtaba Ali Rizvi. So just remember me in your prayers. And don't tell anybody that you read namaz-e-shab. Don't tell anyone. One child in the morning, this youth was drinking a lot of water, like I'm drinking, but it's finishing. Like I'm drinking a lot of water and so forth. So the mother asked, John, why are you drinking so much water? The youth said, because when you read namaz-e-shab, you have to drink one whole jug of water, right? वो बताना चाहता कि मैं namaz-e-shab पढ़ी है. He wanted to tell his parents that I've read namaz-e-shab. Namaz-e-shab, do not tell anyone if you read it. Don't even tell your parents. Just keep that as a secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will be the best thing. Because as soon as you start telling others, oh, you read namaz-e-shab, mashallah, you're this, you're that, As soon as they start saying those things, it will become difficult for your nafs to control yourself, and you will fall into the trap of shaitan where you will think you're someone because you read namaz-e-shab. You're nothing, no matter what you do in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter how much you worship, you're nothing. And considering yourself nothing is better than considering yourself something. I think it's the last question. Maybe it's not even I have this one. As a parent, what should be focus for young children under 7? Islamic teachings, fun activities, what should be emphasized? Imam Masumin alayhi salam used to divide their time into 4 groups, and that was for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. Okay, so 4 parts of their time was, one was considered for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, second was considered for gaining sustenance, third were considered to sit down among the people who can purify you, who know your faults and so forth, and the fourth was for entertainment. And they said that if you have the 4th part in your time, that entertainment will help you for the rest of the 3 parts. So entertainment has a very big place in Islam. Fun has a very big place in Islam. But fun and entertainment under the laws given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a very big place in Islam. But without that, it has no place. आपको पता है मजाक जो है वो एक बहुत बड़ी इबादत है. You know that? Mazah, the word joke is actually doesn't fit in here, but to make another mu'min or mu'mina happy is a very big worship, and it's a very difficult worship. The Rasul baite, Imam Ali baite, you guys have heard of that. The Prophet and the Imam Ali are sitting down with other people and they're having dates, right? So the Prophet would eat the dates and then put the pit in front of Imam Ali eat the date and put the pit in front of Imam Ali. After a little while there was a good pile of pits that were in front of Imam Ali, and then the Prophet said, Imam, itna na khaye, itna aap kha rahe, don't eat so much. Imam said that, at least I'm not that hungry that I'm eating the pits as well, because you have nothing, right? आप तो गिटली भी खाई जा रहे. One of the reasons why Imam Ali ﷺ was told that you cannot be the leader of the Muslims is because he always had a smile on his face. And they said that we need somebody serious. We don't want somebody who has a smile on his face all the time. Imam says that the nishani, sign of a mu'min is that he always or she always has a smile on their face and their huzn and their misery and their stress and their distress inside of their heart. Who had more misery and distress than Imam Ali? And always he would have a smile on his face. Imam Ali's image in your minds is no smile. Imam Ali's image is sword, zulfiqar, shalab, hit, all of that. Imam Ali, his face used to glow, would always have a smile, and people were attracted towards him. When a person becomes more religious, they start smiling less. And people think that because they're smiling less, they're more religious. No. Smile is a gift for others. It's not your own gift. Are you with me? Smile is a gift for others that you should give. Your own misery and so forth, you can keep it inside of your heart, but give the gifts that is required. Okay? So entertainment is very good, maza is very good, having a smile on your face is very good, having fun is very good, but all has to be in the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it is, it's worship. If it's not, it is sin. Our maza is such, we make jokes on the expense of others. No? You are so fat. You know how the jokes they start, right? Or you are so tall, or you are so short. या पता है जिस एक हमारे भी होता था मजाक की यानी जो तरीका हमारा मजाक का है वो हमने सीखा किन से है? How we learned how to make jokes. We've learned it from the British. We've learned it from the Hindus. How to make a joke. We haven't learned it from Imam Masumi. A Hindu will make a joke based on creed, zaat ke upar. And this is how we do. We have jokes about Sikhs, we have jokes about Punjabis, we have jokes about Urdu speaking, based on creed, zaat ke upar. दूसरा टाइप जो British है, it will make, he or she will make a joke to like a condescending matter to make you feel low because of their arrogance. If you learn how to have fun and how to have entertainment, it could be taking a walk. I love taking walks, and the people that have stayed with know that. I love taking walks. When you walk, and especially if you walk in the snow, it is so entertaining. It's lovely. -20 Celsius, snow is falling down. The whole universe just quiets down when it snows. You cannot hear anything. All you hear is the footsteps that you're making. It's so relaxing. It's entertaining. But your definition of entertainment is Netflix, right? Torrent, Comedy Central, sports. Come on, music, YouTube. Come on, chalo batao entertainment. Facebook, right? Loose talk. Yes. Ghibat is pretty entertaining. Ghibat is very entertaining. Tale telling. You know what he did? क्या किया उन्होंने? तुम्हें नहीं पता? उन्होंने तो ये कर दिया. नहीं ये कहा तुम्हें? उन्होंने ये कहा मुझे. हाँ. अब वो मजा आ रहा है ना मिर्च मसाला लगा के सारा जो है वो. What else is entertainment? Listen to me very careful. Unfortunately, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and give us the strength to get out of this. This mimbar has become entertainment. After the majlis is over, people come, Maza aa gaya Maulana. कहते हैं मजा आ गया मौलाना आज. ज़हन के आयाशी नहीं है मिंबर. दीन ज़हन की आयाशी नहीं है. दीन मजा लेने के लिए नहीं आया था. The minbar did not come to entertain. The minbar came to tell you the truth, whether you like it or you don't. The masayib of Imam Hussain is not so that you can be entertained. the mazahib of Imam Hussain salam is so that you realize his purpose, you grieve in his love. You get a certain level of contentment and itminan after the majlis is over, but stop saying maza. क्योंकि जब हम मजा मिंबर से एसोसिएट कर रहे हैं ना, तो मजा एंटरटेनमेंट में आता है. खुदा की इताअत में मजा है. There is lazzat in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is bahjat in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that bahjat is not the same as the ayashi of our zain. दिमाग की ayashi जो है वो नहीं है. So alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us that we were able to hear, knowledge being spread from the mimbar a long time ago. Now people say, okay, we're going to bring that person who's going to get more crowd. We will pay him $1,500 an hour, but we will get that person because the crowd comes. मज़ा आता है लोगों को, और वो जो है वो लोग भी आ जाते हैं तो हम उसको बुलाएंगे. The criteria was not that. ठीक है. So inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the opportunity to submit to His will. In His submission is true pleasure, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity to taste that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us as a community to grow as a community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to do amar bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow those people who are listening to music, who are having these sort of entertainment-based majlises, entertainment-based events where they are going to dance and where they're going to have music. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them the opportunity to ask for forgiveness and to become better. And then lastly, just to give you an example of that, I have it and I will say it and then we will finish it. I know of a city, and that city is Calgary. In Calgary, on the 14th of Sha'ban, which is be considered Shab Barat, the night when the 12th Imam was born, the 15th being the day of his first day of his Imamat, the Shia community had an event in which they called and hired 8 dancers. उन्होंने 8 रक्कासाओं को बुलाया और रक्कासाओं को बुला के उनको नचाया शब बारात पे. And after doing that, they had a picture taken. In that picture, there were individuals who were the trustees of the center or former trustees. And that whole picture was published in the local newspaper. उर्दू की अखबार के अंदर वो पिक्चर आई उनकी, और मैं इसलिए बता रहा हूँ कि ये पब्लिश हो चुकी है बात. They had one whole this portion of the newspaper where there was a picture of those 8 dancers and then these individuals, and the heading was, the Shias celebrated Shab Barat. And on the other side they had a picture of Sikhs who were in worship, because for them that is also a holy night, and they had the Sunni brothers worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while the Shias had that sort of an event on the night of Shab Barat. Shab Barat can be considered to be Shab Qadr. It is the holiest of nights. These last 10 nights that are coming can be Shab Qadr in any one of them. Can you imagine that somebody will do that on Shab Qadr? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curse those individuals who do that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they cannot be guided, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase in their punishment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they can be guided, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them the guidance, and if they cannot be guided, may they be punished on the day of judgment with the utmost punishment, who have joked with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who have made themselves to become a source of embarrassment for the Imam of our time, who are a source of misguidance for others, who have become the reason why the Shias are classified as individuals who have nothing to do with religion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the coming of our Imam as soon as possible so that the revenge of the blood of Imam Hussain can be taken from those individuals who are following the same principles of Yazid and the enemies of Imam Hussain salam, and may that we are on the right side when Imam comes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.